Morning, everyone. Before I actually get started with my homily, I'd like to ask all the women, all the ladies, even the young girls, please stand up for a moment. Oh, you're laughing. Don't worry. This isn't going to hurt. Now, gentlemen, I'd ask each and every one of you to join me in a long, loud round of applause of thanks to all these women who are with us today. A little weak. Maybe there aren't a lot of guys here today. All right, ladies, you can sit down. Not Mother's Day, so I know you're thinking, guys, what's he doing today? You know, why is he asking us to do something like this when it's not a special day? Well, I'd ask you this. If you can stay awake for the next 5 minutes, you'll get your answer by the end of my homily. One of my earliest, fondest memories of my family was what would happen in our family every Sunday and every holiday, every single holiday on the Italian side of my family. Every Sunday we would get together for Sunday dinner. All of our extended family, not just a few of us, at my grandparents' house. And early in the day, my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, they would spend the early part of the day rolling the dough, cutting the dough, getting the pasta ready for dinner later on. After they were done doing that, they would get the tables all set so that it was nice for everyone for dinner. A little bit later, they put the pasta into the pot, get the homemade meatballs that were made into the oven to get them ready, and they would cook dinner for all of us. When it was time for dinner, we would all be called to the dinner table, where we sat down and enjoyed Grandma's homemade pasta and meatballs every single Sunday. On holidays, it was homemade ravioli. It was a special day, so we got a special treat on those days. When dinner was over, everybody got up from the table. All the men, the boys would go in one of the other rooms, and this is one of those vivid memories. I remember seeing my grandfather and my uncle go to sit down to first unbuckle their belt. They had a little bit too much of Grandma's pasta, so they would sit down and relax. But here's the point. Then, my grandmother, my aunt, my mother would clear the table, do the dishes, while we all got to sit down and relax. And I remember my first thought of that was, something's wrong with this picture. They did all this work all throughout the day, while all the guys got to sit and just relax and wait to be waited on. And that stuck with me for a lot of years, until I came to learn when I got a little bit older that that wasn't work for my grandmother and my mom and my aunt. That was a labor of love. I came to appreciate how my grandfather worked in a factory all his life, a dirty, hot, dangerous factory. And when he came home, he was tired. And making dinner for my grandfather was my grandmother's way of saying thanks to him for providing for the family. So when we had those Sunday meals, that was their way of saying thanks to the men who went out and worked all week long so that we could have a nice dinner. That was in the days when the mom stayed home and raised the kids, and raised the home and made a home. And I have been blessed throughout my life, all the way up to this day, to be surrounded by so many good, loving, nurturing women. From my grandmothers, to my mother, to my wife, to my daughters, to my granddaughters, who just bring a special smile to my face every time I get to see them and hold them. To the many, many teachers I had throughout my life, especially to the nuns who taught me in Catholic grade school, to the sisters who helped me through formation in the seminary to become a deacon. I've been blessed by so many good, loving, caring, teaching, and nurturing women who helped form me throughout all of my life. In our first reading today from Proverbs, we heard that beautiful story. And I've been waiting 9.5 years for this first reading to come up on a weekend when I could give a homily. This is the very first time that happened. In that reading we hear at the very beginning that when one finds a worthy wife, he finds the true treasure, beyond all measure. And throughout that reading we hear about all the good things a wife does for her husband, for her children, for her family, and for her community. And I would suggest to all of us, we could take the word wife out of there and just insert woman. All the good things that women do for us in our lives. And as I was preparing the homily this week and reading over that familiar passage again, I thought about Jesus. And I thought about all the women that he surrounded himself with throughout his short time here on this earth. We think about the women who were true followers of him. They were like his apostles. They were so close to him. Like his disciples. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Salome. Those three were with Jesus everywhere, just like his 12 apostles were. Helping him, working with him, loving him, learning from him. And then there's so many other women who are scattered throughout Scripture that we hear about. We hear about the woman who the Sadducees and the Pharisees wanted to stone because she supposedly was caught in an adulterous situation. But we remember what Jesus did. He said to those men, "Let you who is without sin cast the first stone at this woman." And what happened? Not a single one threw a stone. Jesus looked out for her, loved her, cared for her, just like so many women cared for him. We think about the woman at the well, who a person like Jesus would never speak to, but he spoke to her, teaching her who he was, what he was about, helping her to understand the path to where we're all going. So many of those women in Jesus' life, just like the women in our lives today, guys, who love us, are there for us, do so many big and small things every day. They use their talents, the many, many that they have, in so many big and small ways. That's why I asked us all to take a moment before Mass, or before the homily, to just thank them for all those things that they do for us each and every day. So many things they do that we just take for granted, that we don't thank them for throughout our lives, and we should. So guys, I would suggest today, find one woman in your life, whoever it may be, and thank her. Not just for anything, but for something special that she does that's small, that typically goes unnoticed. Thank her for all those little things she does to help make your life better, to help make our family's life better, to help make our communities better. May God bless each and every one of you, and may you have a blessed week. They do the dishes every now and then.